Hi everyone, it's Trishna. If you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you've been a part of this community for a little while, welcome back as always. So today what I want to talk about is Venus in retrograde. And I have a few reasons why I want to discuss this. Now, the first one is because there are a lot of videos out there that talk about Venus in retrograde and many of the different transits that are happening right now, and there's a lot happening right now in the cosmos. And they like to speak about it from an astrological perspective. And that information is valuable and it is helpful and it's all really great. However, a lot of that information is focused more on generalities, so focused on all the Geminis who have a Gemini rising, or all people who have a Capricorn rising, for example. So while it is specified a little bit more, it still isn't really unique to what you're specifically going to go through yourself. And on top of that, not everybody is really very versed in astrology or wants to be, but they still want to get the guidance so that they can make the most of the energies that are present. So that's why I wanted to do this video, because in this video, we're going to be doing a meditation together, a ceremony together, where we're going to get unique guidance directly for ourselves about this Venus retrograde transit that is currently happening in Leo, and what we really need to get guidance on, how we need to develop and grow in order to get the most out of these transits. The second reason why is because a lot of times in the videos that you see, whether it's Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, Chiron retrograde, there can be a lot of polarized information. Some people focus only on the positives that are about to be happening and the excitement of that. Others focus on Mercury retrograde, for example, and how it's scary and you don't want to do XYZ and a whole list of things like that. And really, when it comes to all things in our reality, and that includes when it comes to our astrology signs, when it comes to the planets and how they can influence us, in our reality we live in polarity. So that's why you see a lot of extremes happening. There's, two, at least in the US, two main political parties, and they are opposites of each other. I have other videos on how I talk about how the opposites are actually really the same. But essentially we live in a world of polarities. And so what that means for you is that no matter what you're dealing with, there are going to be both sides of the polarities, positives and negatives. And what's even more true is that there is a whole spectrum. And what's going to be more likely for you is that you're going to experience a balance of the two. So out there, you're going to see positive videos of how everything's perfect, and you're going to see videos of how things are not so perfect. But really the truth is somewhere in the middle. And so I really want to provide a grounded conversation around that, something that will not steer you one way or the other. And when you focus on polarities, you get polarized, and so you get steered one way or the other. So I want to have a very grounded perspective with you guys and really talk about just how to work with the energies, because yes, there's a lot of really positives that can come with Venus in retrograde, but it's not like if you've been struggling with love, all of a sudden an astrology transit's going to happen for you, like Venus retrograde, and all of your problems are going to go away. Yes, sometimes that happens. Yes, sometimes there is timing with regards to planets, but a lot of times what the planets really want from us is that we listen to their flows, understand their cycles, and then align ourselves to those flows so that we can maximize the energy, so that we are in sync with what is going on above us, down below us, and we are in sync with what is going on without us, within ourselves. As within, so without. As above, so below. So that is what I want to focus on here. Is we're going to talk about what is coming through regarding the Venus retrograde, like what I'm getting for the collective, and then we are going to do that meditation and ceremony where you can get in your own specific guidance customized to you. And there's one more thing I wanted to mention. All right, if it's gonna come back, it'll come back. All right, so I'm sitting on the floor today because we're going to be doing that meditation. So if you are not ready to do a meditation, maybe you're listening to this on your drive to work, or maybe you're listening to this while you work out. I may or may not be using specific examples of when I watch YouTube videos, but maybe you're in a position where you can't really sit down and meditate for a little while. That's perfectly fine. I would say keep listening to this if you have the time, and then when it's time for you to do your meditation and you have that moment, you can basically pause the video and come back to the video at that point and join us in the meditation. You don't have to sit down on the floor. It was just easier. And I also have this tapestry that does not exactly stretch higher, and I actually have it with tape, so if it falls, that might be just what's gonna happen. Yeah, so it's just a little bit easier for me to sit on the floor today, but you can sit down, you can lie down, you can do whatever you would like for the meditation portion, which we will get to towards the end. There are a few other things that you will need for today's ceremony and session. Okay, so what you will need is a piece of paper. It can be any color or it can be pink. You should, if you would like to, pick a crystal that you resonate with. So you might want to work with rose quartz, which is about self-love, and we'll talk about why that's important in a moment here, or just work with anything that calls to you. It does not have to be pink, it does not have to be yellow. Those are the two colors that I'm really feeling for Venus retrograde right now. It doesn't have to be those colors, it's just whatever you are drawn to. You're drawn to it for a reason. So I have this here just to kind of show you, but actually today I was drawn to, it is a crystal that's pink. I think this is, oh, I forget what it's called. I think it started with an A. Agate. I think it's pink agate that I actually got at a spiritual fair, and the seller actually selected which crystal I needed based off of my energy. And this was not the crystal that I wanted. I wanted a different one. He's like, no, you need that one. And I listened to him, and I'm very grateful that I did. All right. So piece of paper. We got the crystals. Get a pink pen. So if you don't have pink paper, get a pink pen. And also a pink, yellow, or white candle. And a lighter, of course. And a fireproof bowl, which in my case, I have a cauldron. I also want to apologize for the lighting. I don't know why I look like the lighting tone doesn't look very warm, and I don't know why. All right. I really want it to be like a warm glow, because that's what I feel like the energy is here. But you work with what you got. Okay, so now we know what we need. And if you see me looking down, I'm just looking at some notes here. Okay. All right, so now we're going to get into the guidance, and maybe I'm going to light this candle now. It's going to help open space for us, cleanse the space as well, and maybe give me a little bit of lighting here so that it's not so cold and harsh. All right. So, woo. All right. Oh, also, if you would like some tea, I recommend that as well. I find that tea, because it's often warm, it really gets us in a very relaxed place, which allows us to receive deeper guidance. And if you want to drink it after instead of before, that's fine as well, because sometimes when we go in the etheric realms and we go really deep, when we come back, it takes us a moment to ground. And I find that chocolate and tea often helps me come back to reality a little bit more and ground what I received and be able to be back in the world again. And I've been getting into English breakfast tea again. My husband loves it, and I'd forgotten about it for a long time. And then I had a sip of his, and I was like, oh, yeah, we're coming back to this. Okay, so let's get into the guidance. So, with this Venus retrograde, one of the biggest lessons that Venus would really like us to understand and to embody and to fully embrace is that of self-love, self-worth, knowing our self-value, and really just embracing that we are loved, and that we are loved not only by others, but also by spirit, by the universe, by the cosmos, whatever it is that you resonate with. And when we think about love, whether it's with ourselves or with others, we often, especially with others, we often equate it to being all rosy, all peachy. When we think about love, we think about the really positive aspects of love. And we forget that love can be difficult. We forget that love can be tough. And I do feel like as a society, we're moving away from that more rosy picture, not forgetting about it, but adding on to it in more realistic ways. Where in the past, we might have looked at a couple that looked really happy and been like, wow, they have the perfect relationship. Why isn't mine like that? They look like they never fight. And now I think people are being a lot more open about the fact that, hey, yeah, we love each other, we're getting along right now, but that's not always the case. There are ups and downs, there is a cycle, and we have to keep working with each other and keep working on that relationship. So Venus retrograde really wants us to go back, because it's retrograde, so it wants us to go back and revisit and think about where in our life in general, or where in love have we been impulsive. So we hear all the time that our minds are like our attention span is getting shorter and shorter, right? Because we are scrolling through posts and Instagram, and then, short TikTok videos. And at one point in time, there was the Vines, and Boomerang comes back, and we're looking at stories. And so our attention span has become shorter. But it's not just in the mind, it's also in terms of how we relate to other people. Maybe in the past, if we were listening to a friend talk about their problems, we would have listened to the whole story, but now our mind starts to go in different directions, and then maybe we, share something about ourselves that relates or maybe doesn't relate to the conversation, or, maybe you may have been on the receiving end of this, where maybe in your relationship, your friends are the ones that usually do the talking, and then finally you need to express something, so you do, and then they say, oh, actually, I gotta go, or, oh, something just came up, or, oh, I'm busy, or they get like that glazed look in their eyes, and you know that they're not really paying attention. So it's the short attention span and that kind of disconnection with what love really means, and seeing it in that balanced way is kind of what's been in our sphere for a while. And Venus in retrograde, what she would really love from us is to revisit that, so that we can grow out of that and enter into a time and age for the collective where we are moving towards strong, long-lasting relationships that are significantly more realistic and more beautiful, because we are more realistic about it. So I mentioned earlier that I was going to talk about why this crystal is important. It's because in this retrograde, we want to talk about, or we want to focus on self-love and valuing ourselves, because as we do that, people will value us in return, and we'll also be able to value others in return, because we value ourselves. So what we have within us is what we're able to give to others. And then we're talking about the collective, right? We're in this journey where the collective, Venus really wants all of us as a whole, all of us, to move into a new age where we have healthy relationships, where we work through things, where we're not so impulsive with our decisions, and we don't think, this isn't working, bye. Maybe you were somebody who was impulsive, or maybe in the past people were impulsive with you, and Venus in retrograde is really saying, hey, that time and age needs to come to pass. We want to move towards something different. And that's especially important because for this time period, because what's coming around in a few days on August 1st is the full moon in Aquarius. The full moon in Aquarius is all about the collective. And the full moon is what's being lit up in the sky. We can see the sky in all of its glory. So what's being lit up is that we are wanting to have more collective focus, and we are on a collective journey together. And what's also really interesting is that we did just have a huge shift in the North Node and South Node. So we switched from the Taurus North Node with Scorpio South Node into the Aries North Node and Libra South Node. And that's going to last for the next 18 months. So we really are moving away from relationships, Libra, the shadow side of those relationships where there was a lot of codependency, or there was a lot of not really valuing ourselves, or a lot of us blending too much into our partners. And with the Aries North Node, it's not that we're moving away from relationships, but we're wanting to have a sense of self in our relationships, have that sense of self-worth and strength. Aries is strong, right? Having that strength, Aries likes to fight for things, not having that impulsive, let's leave, but let's fight for something. Let's work towards something. So that's how all of this is really starting to come together. So right now you may be feeling a little bit stagnant in your relationships, maybe frustrated. And if you're like, nah, I'm not really feeling that about relationships, maybe it's about your relationship with something else. Maybe it's in career, or maybe it's friendship, or maybe it's family. Venus retrograde really is, I'm focusing more on love because that's the energy and the vibe that I was getting. But Venus is not just about love. It's about all the things that we value. So you may right now at this season in your life be really valuing friendship or family or career or finances and having a new perspective on it. So use this energy however it resonates for you, even if it's not specifically about love, but there may be some place in which you're feeling very stagnant. All right, so we've talked about how we want to have an evolution with regards to love and our own sense of self-value. Okay, so one of the visions that kind of kicked off why I was guided to express and share this is I saw this vision of, remember when we're younger or in movies when they would have like a flower with all these petals, and you would pluck one and say, they love me, pluck one, they love me not, pluck the next, they love me, pluck the next, they love me not, and you go around all the petals until you pull the last one. And that was a vision that came to me, but it wasn't about, do they love me? It was about, I love them not. I love them, I love them not. And basically what was coming through is kind of that impulsive discussion that we were just having, where right now is a time where because we're frustrated or because there's so many shifts that are happening, we may feel a little bit moody. And so how we feel about the partners in our life or the partners of the past, we may have some mixed feelings, and it may change depending on our mood at this point in time. And that's a part of what needs to be transformed, is we need to find that balance. So the Venus retrograde is very much about finding that balance, which is how I opened up this discussion to begin with the polarities and how we really want to have that balance. So not just in terms of what we think about Venus in retrograde and what we hear about it and learn about it, but how we feel about ourselves and how we feel about love and how we feel about our partners. Because we do have this tendency to get infatuated. We have this tendency to objectify others, and not just in terms of the physical realm, like, right? We often think men objectify women from the physical sense, but women also objectify men physically. But it's also not just about the physical aspects, it's also about the emotional aspects and the mental aspects too. We objectify. And not only do we objectify others, because as within, so without, and as without, so within, we also objectify ourselves. Now, I know there's a lot of people who right now might be struggling with regards to love. And what I find with not everybody, but some of those people, is they say, but I'm amazing. I have the career, I have the money, I have all the values, I have all this, I come from this kind of family. And so they're focusing on all the ways in which they look good on paper. But what about, so that's objectification. This is how I look without actually getting to know who I am. And this is what I want without actually getting to know who you are. I want that package, but I'm not even paying attention to what's inside the package. So we objectify ourselves and we forget to focus on who are we. And yes, I look good on paper, but do I feel like I'm worthy inside? If all those paper things, those superficial things, were not there, do I still think I would be worthy of love? Or do I only think I'm worthy of love because I have the career, I have the job, I'm successful, whatever it is? There it goes. So let's just pull it all down. And let's pull this down too. There we go. Hide the mess. Right? Could I feel loved without having to put this superficial thing on, and you saw everything behind here? Actually, the shelf right here is a pretty cool shelf. It has all of my oracle decks, and it actually is organized well. But this side is not really all my stuff. Okay, anyways, so objectification. So that's something that we need to kind of notice in ourselves and embrace and realize, right? Because again, it's Venus in retrograde. Again, it's the full moon is coming up. What wants to come to light? What wants to be revisited? What are some things that we skipped over on our journey of love and forgot about, but that are really, really important and will keep us really balanced? Because if you objectify yourself and then you go out looking for love, you're not really gonna find the partner that's right for you, because you don't even know who you are. You don't even know what makes you special. So when you don't know your own light, you're not gonna be able to find a light that matches you. So it's important to really ground in that and be balanced, not only in how you see others, but also how you see yourself, and notice all the places in which you shine, and notice all the places in which maybe you're not perfect, but that's what actually makes you really perfect. Okay. I also got this message around Somebody's trash is somebody else's treasure, and somebody's treasure is somebody else's trash. So I will say that with these downloads, so part of the reason why, I guess I didn't mention this beginning, part of the reason why I am doing this video is because I have been getting so many downloads that my brain actually feels like it's gonna explode. And so my guides were like, yeah, if you want to stop that feeling, you need to share it, right? You can't just, it's not enough to just write it down, Trishna. You have to like put it out there so that there's, there's room. So some of this guidance kind of came out in its own way and its own flow. And so we're just going with that flow. So yeah, I got somebody's trash or somebody else's treasure, and somebody's treasure, somebody else's trash. So again, that's kind of like polarity where everything is actually the same. Where, on one side we have treasure, on the other side we have trash. And it's like, those are polar opposites. And yet this could be treasure to somebody and this could be trash to another. So really all things are the same as everything. The two ends of the spectrum are actually really one and the same. And so sometimes when we're out in the dating world and we're objectifying, right? And so we're not really focusing on the person, and they're not really focusing on us, and we're not focusing on them, and we're not really seeing each other. So we have that impulsive, okay, let's move on. Okay, this isn't working kind of thing. When that happens, it's because we're not noticing the treasure that exists in what we now have deemed trash. And sometimes we bring in partners who are not right for us, and we're not noticing the trash that exists in what we are deeming treasure. So this is why it's very important that we see things as they are. And in order to do that, we need to see ourselves more fully and not just what looks good on paper. Or for some of you, you may think, I don't have anything that looks good on paper. That's why I'm not worthy. But remember, if you take all of that away, you are worthy, and you have to connect to that. Okay, so, all right. So I'm trying to decide, okay, this is how we're gonna do it. Okay, so now it is time for you to grab your piece of paper and to grab your pen and to light your candle if you haven't already. And we're going to take a moment and we're going to absorb everything that we have just received, and we're going to write down, knowing all that we know now, what is our intention. Before, our intention might have been, I want to call in the love of my life, or I want a different partner than I have, or, I want my ex who's come back, I want them to pay, or I want them to realize that they made a mistake, whatever it is. That might have been what our intention was before. But now you know that this is about balance. This is about clearing out these old patterns. This is about seeing the patterns and the things that we wanted, but then transforming them into something that is more constructive, something that's reliable, right? Something that's not so impulsive. So now your intention might be something along the lines of, I would love to have that self-love and truly see it in myself for the first time, and have that vision feel so strong and so powerful in myself that I will always be able to come back to it anytime that I forget. That it will be such a profound feeling that no matter what happens to me in life, I can always revisit that moment and call it back in and connect to who I really am. Or it might be, I've been in this relationship and I was thinking about calling it quits, but maybe I need to be more balanced first before I decide that. Because yes, there are some relationships that are toxic, but I almost feel like that toxic terminology is overused, kind of like narcissism has become overused. Everybody's a narcissist now, right? And that was helpful for a time period because there are people like that. And when we have a label, it makes us aware of, more of it was going on. It makes us aware of that terminology, and it makes us connect to that, right? Because otherwise we feel alone and we're getting gaslit, etc. So those labels are powerful, but then there comes a point in time where they get overused and they're used for everybody, and that makes people become less human. And to us, right? Now they're just that, and now they're just toxic, and they're no longer a person, they're now this thing. And if you've been feeling disconnected in love, whether or not you're doing that, there's something else that you may be doing where you are disconnecting yourself from love by putting other people in a toxic box. making them less human, and therefore feeling like maybe you're not being seen as human, or you're lacking that connection of what it means to have a human connection with another person. So now, knowing all of this, your intention may be, you know what, I have this partner, they could be toxic for real, or they could not be. Let me get into a balanced place, and that's what I want to call it. I want to be so strong in myself, so powerful, so grounded, so connected to my heart space, that I can see things for what they truly are, and not what somebody else tells me they are, or not what maybe I've been conditioned to think that they are, or not what maybe my trauma from my past tells me they are, right? So your intentions now may have changed from what they were before, which is already a sign of transformation. So now take your pink pen and take your piece of paper and start writing down from a place of gratitude, a place of feeling, and a place of now moment, what you would like to call in. So I'm not sure that I will write it, but I want to give you guys a moment to write it. And just some of the things that I said before was, thank you me, thank you universe, thank you Venus retrograde for awakening what it is that I truly need at this point in time on my journey, to be able to call in the love that I deserve, not only from others, but also from myself. Thank you for making me aware of the places in which maybe I was not so balanced, and maybe making impulsive choices, whether that was impulsively going into a relationship or impulsively leaving a relationship. Thank you for connecting me to my sense of self-worth, my sense of value. May I feel it every day from this moment on. May I feel it so powerfully. May it resonate in my body and vibrate through every one of my cells down to my DNA. May it radiate throughout my aura so that I can always come back to this place, and so that everybody else in the world sees it too. So just some ideas that I want to throw out there. You know what? I am going to write some stuff down. Okay, so now what I want you guys to do is take the crystal of choice that you have, and we're going to set this attention aside, and we're going to put the crystal on top so that it charges it while we continue with the rest of what we're going to be doing. Okay. Okay. All right, so now it's time for us to go on a journey to connect with Venus retrograde personally. So I've shared a lot of the collective information and some of the greater messages that wanted to come through for the collective, but it's also important to figure out what the message is for us individually, and then we can marry that up, pun intended, with the collective message as well, and make sure that we're working along the lines of the greater flows, but also along the lines of our own inner flow and soul desires. So take a moment to find a comfortable place. You can sit down, you can lie down. And when you're ready, close your eyes. I call in our guides, our higher selves, our ancestors, our angels, and all the entities that we work with to enter our space now, to form a circle of love and protection, and to activate deeper love within each one of us now. Take some deep breaths. And with the next inhale, feel your chakra, your crown chakra opening up at the top of your head. And with your next exhale, see golden light flowing down from the heavens, from the divine, down into your crown chakra. Harvey. Down into your body. Filling up your entire body, all the way down to your toes, with golden light. Activating every cell down to your DNA. And now you see yourself on a quiet beach, hearing the birds chirp in the trees nearby. Seeing that the sun has set very recently. It's not darkness, but it is the later evening. Hearing the ocean with its gentle waves lapping on the shoreline. There's a beautiful wind breeze flowing around you. You might even see some stars in the sky already. You look up into the sky while the wind swirls around you. And you see Venus up in the cosmos. As you keep looking up, you notice that Venus seems to be getting larger and larger. Almost as though she's coming closer. It's marvelous to look at, all of her colors, her glow, her beauty, her shades. She is coming closer. And as she enters Earth's atmosphere, she starts to look like a star, twinkling. She gets closer and closer and closer until she's on the beach next to you. She walks towards you, and in her hand she has a bouquet of flowers. This bouquet has all sorts of flowers of all sorts of colors. She stretches her hands out to you. She's taken the form of a goddess. She stretches her arms out with this bouquet, allowing you to take a look and select one. What colors of flowers do you see? Maybe there's pinks, orange, purple. Any colors you see are perfect for you. These are the colors that you should work with during this Venus in retrograde. You might want to wear these colors more often. You might want to work with crystals of these colors. If you journal, you may want to use these colors of pen. As you look at these flowers, you finally select one and you pull it out of the bouquet. She smiles at you, and you know that no matter what choice you made, it was the exact one that you needed. And that you can always come back to this meditation and pick another choice. You look down at this flower and you start to take off each of the petals, giving it an offering to the universe, giving these petals away with love. You do so until there is only one petal left. On this final petal is a message for you. You may see it written on the petal. You may intuitively know what it is. It may be a feeling that you get from this petal. You may get flashes of color, sensations in your body. Whatever you receive is perfect. Whatever you receive is enough. If you feel you have received nothing, do not worry. You have received everything that you need. It may have just gone straight to your subconscious mind, and whatever guidance or message you need to hear, you will receive in the next few days. You may receive a download. You may receive a feeling. You may receive inspired action, or you may be led to a book or a video, or you may hear the right perfect thing through a friend or even a stranger. Trust, know you have received everything that you need. Now, knowing this message, whether consciously or not, you look back at Venus, the goddess. She smiles at you with so much love, so much healing. Whatever the message was, she now activates in your auric field, whether that was something you needed to know, an action you needed to take, or healing you needed to receive. She moves her hands around your auric field, activating you, cleansing you. You feel warm in your body. Your aura feels stronger. It may feel or look brighter. You feel more cleansed and open to receive any divine guidance of your own. You're open to hear. You're open to receive. You feel relaxed. You feel grounded. It feels so good. And now that you are ready, Goddess Venus has a message she would like to share with you directly. A message to help you find self-love and balance within yourself. A message of any healing that you need to hear and receive. You look deep within her eyes, and she looks deep within yours and shares with you now. What does she share? As she wraps up her message with you, she has a few more gems of wisdom she wants to share. You are worthy. You are loved. I am so grateful for you taking this time and this moment to connect with me. It means so much more than you know that you take on my frequencies and allow me to feel your own. You are a divine being and you deserve everything that your heart asks for. But please hear this message. It is everything that your heart asks for. Release your ego, the fears that want to come up. Give them up to me, and I will transmute them for you. Listen to any guidance or wisdom about me that you would like to, from books, from articles, from other videos. But use them as inspiration that will ignite your own divine guidance, your own messages from me. For you are worthy of the wisdom directly from me as well. Trust that. Trust in me. Trust in yourself and trust in your path. You sit with these messages, fully embracing them, feeling more connected to your own heart than ever before. Finding that balance allows you to know what aspect of you is acting and when. You feel more energized now, more whole, more integrated. And now you're ready to come back. So wiggle your toes. Start stretching out your body. And gently open your eyes. If you want to take a moment to write down any messages that came through for you, go ahead and write those down. And while we were doing that, bringing in those energies, our crystals were energizing and charging up our intentions. And if there's anything you want to add now to your intentions based off of anything that you received in this meditation, now is the perfect time to do that. And always remember that you can come back to this meditation at any point in time, Venus retrograde or not. You can come back to this years later and reconnect, and you can see what flowers come up and maybe what you need to work on with regards to love during that phase of your life, and pick a different flower and receive a different message. So it's definitely a very interactive thing, and again, something that allows you to get messages directly from Venus retrograde or your guides anytime that you want. Okay. So let's see here. We're just about ready to wrap this up. So now we're going to take our intentions and actually take this moment on your own to pause and read your intentions aloud. And if you're in a place where you can't do that, then maybe mouth the words without actually using your voice. If it feels strange to do that, try it out. It can be very powerful because as we speak, we're letting out sound waves, and those sound waves are speaking and forming around the intention that we're setting. And then that shoots it out into the universe even more. And now we're entering the part where you do as I say and not as I do. Do not do what I'm about to do. So I have my fire safe bowl, or cauldron in this case. And now you can light this with your lighter or with your candle. And be safer about this. I'm using chopsticks. Do not do as I do, okay? Again, do as I say. And make sure you are in a fire safe place to do this, and maybe have some water on hand, which I do actually over there. So at least I'm following that. And go ahead and light. Actually, you know what? I don't even need to do that with this one. And light intentions on fire. And give thanks. Thank you, Spirit, for hearing our intentions, allowing them to be heard. Thank you, Venus, for participating in this ceremony with us. Thank you for allowing us to hear the messages that we needed to hear and to align our intentions with what is for our highest good. Thank you for allowing us to come back to you anytime that we need. Thank you for sharing with us what we need so that we can manifest our desires. Thank you for allowing us to feel fulfillment, to connect with our own self-love and self-worth. And now let's thank our guides for being here with us. Thank you, guides, ancestors, angels. Thank you for holding space with us. Thank you for being a part of this journey with us. Thank you, thank you. All right. So we're almost done. If you did enjoy this, we're going to pull an oracle card to kind of wrap up. But if you did enjoy this kind of exercise, this ritual, and if you would like to have something similar for twin flames, bringing in your twin flames, let me know, because I have been guided to do a twin flame course, much like my light codes activation course. I've been guided to do that, and I've had that guidance for about 2 years now. And recently I've been feeling the call even more to do something like that. So if you're interested, let me know, and I will take that calling a little bit more seriously. And then we can work on more things that we need in order to heal our twin flame connection, to bring that twin flame connection in more powerfully and stronger, to resolve anything that we need regarding that aspect of our mission, and to really just talk about love and that journey and the intricacies of it and how to work and navigate through that so that we can get that connection that we really are looking for. And also, I am planning to do a video on connecting with your spirit guides. I have several videos like that already on my channel, but I've really focused more on some of the mentalities that can get people stuck when they are trying to connect to their spirit guide for the first time. So it's definitely, those videos are super, super important. And I do talk about exercises, but I thought maybe I'd do a video where we can do that together. And sometimes it's easier to learn by doing it with somebody else than to kind of just hear about how to do it and then be like, am I doing it right? So that's something that I would like to do for you guys as well very soon. Okay. Perfect card. So the card that we got is Akasha. It says, your guidance is divinely guided. And isn't that the perfect card for what we just did here, right? We talk so much about how, and what came through in the meditation that Venus wanted to share with us is that we have our own connection to the universe, to the divine. And yes, those other videos and this video are really powerful and impactful, and it's good to watch them if you're drawn to them, because we do get inspired action, we do get downloads by watching videos that we're drawn to, and that's part of the process. But also use that guidance as inspiration for more downloads that can come through for you and guide you on your path more personally. So I feel like that was a perfect card. Perfect card that we could have gotten today. So this wraps up everything for this Venus in retrograde. I hope it served you. I hope you have a wonderful Venus in retrograde. I hope you get the healing that your heart and your soul truly crave, so that you can call in all the amazing things that you want. I hope that you connect even more deeply with your own sense of self-value and self-worth, and that you had that connection again, right, to other people, and that you reframe your thinking about relationships and enter into this new phase that Venus really wants us to step into once we kind of revisit what's going on here, one in which we have these healthier relationships where we understand that love is powerful, but it's not always soft and squishy. It's tough, just like the ocean in our meditation. It can be so wonderful and soothing, but the ocean has tough love too, and sometimes we get some of our deepest lessons from that tough love. And if we work through certain things, there is so much joy on the other side. We can learn to surf those waves and have that thrill of what love really is about and what self-growth really is about. So thank you guys so much, and I will catch you in the next one.